Next question, Dave.
Yes, the state's budget problems has generated new momentum behind proposals to expand gambling in Texas. Proponents say that the state could raise several $billions in much-needed new revenue each year by legalizing casinos and by permitting slot machines on racetracks. Would those proposals have your support? And Mrs. Shafto, you get the answer first.
I think it's sleazy, to say the least, when you are taking people who don't know what the odds are and trying to get them to finance the state. There are better ways to raise tax money. We have a lot of very wealthy people in Texas. Let's have an income tax on the top 20%. Top 20%, going from 1% to 3% only, would raise $10.1 billion a year. That's the budget deficit right now. That would give us breathing room to look at other problems and other solutions. It is high time that people who gain the most from this society start paying the most. As this tax structure is now, as regressive as it is, the top 20% pay roughly 3% of their income in taxes. The bottom 20 pay roughly 12%. That means that a family earning $30,000, that's the poverty level, family of four earning $30,000 pays $3,600 a year in taxes in the state of Texas. That is way too much. And that means that somebody at that earning level is not providing the food they might for their family, or the clothing, or the shoes, or the educational tools that the children need. On the upper end, you enter into that top 20 when you are at $87,000 a year. The tax on that would be $870. That's not insurmountable. That's not a huge burden. We need to start looking for where the money is and making sure that we get our share.
Mayor White, would you support expanding gambling in Texas?
You know, the governor itself doesn't make that law. That would require a constitutional amendment. And I'm not going to be a governor who goes around saying that we ought to promote gambling as a way to balance a budget. Because after all, you know, we could run the state government so much more efficiently. It's gone up. The spending has gone up by 80% under Rick Perry. Debt has almost gone up by 2.5 times under Rick Perry. We can do better with the state budget than gambling. Now, I know that there's people, sooner or later, I believe, that Texas voters, just based on what I hear out on the campaign trail, will want an opportunity to vote on that. I think there'll be that opportunity at some time. But I will tell you this, I heard a commercial. It was about, 6 or 7 years ago, where there was a couple who was discussing Christmas gifts, and it was put on by the state lottery, and so it was encouraging people to buy lottery tickets, expensive lottery tickets, as a Christmas gift. This was put on by the state of Texas. This was promoting gambling by the state of Texas. I don't believe in that. I do think that I hate to see all that money going to Louisiana, Oklahoma, and other states, just like most Texans do. And I think there ought to be a way to stop some of that.
Mrs. Glass?
Well, it's hard for me to criticize someone who purchases a lotto ticket with their own money. I mean, if you've looked at your 401k statement lately, you might think that they actually made the better choice. I would not be in favor of legalizing gambling for the purpose of raising revenue, because it's not that we tax ourselves too little, it's that we spend too much. And we need to cut the spending, as I've outlined, 50% by the ways that I've outlined. We need to understand that if the legislature passed a law legalizing gambling, I would sign that law because that's what they want, but not for the purposes of raising revenue. If that's where they're going, I would say let's work another way. We'll work on the spending levels, because I personally find that gambling is a weakness and something that you should not fund your government with. Now, our liabilities are serious, and so we need to find serious ways to get a handle on this. The unfunded liabilities, the things that are really not on the budget, is about $193 billion in Texas. That comes to $7,700 per person. These are things we're not even talking about. We're acting as though the only thing we've got staring us in the face is this $24 billion projected shortfall for the future, and we're not even talking about the actual shortfall, the deficit we have for this budgetary year, where we're in the hole and getting deeper.
The next question is from Peggy to Mayor White.
Mayor White, you and others have been highly critical of Governor Perry on a multitude of issues. From your point of view, has he done anything positive in nearly a decade as governor? And if so, what would that be?
Oh, how long do we have to think about that? Look, I think Rick Perry does believe in many things that many Texans believe in. We believe in work and opportunity, not handouts or entitlements. I'm trying to review now, some of his careers. I think that there are times where he and other governors that has preceded him have been visited our military when they are deployed abroad or when they come back. I certainly did that as mayor, where he represents at that time all Texans, and we respect the office of governor. Those are some of the things, but my problem is the lack of leadership and direction of this state. This state needs a governor who will move the state forward, who will build consensus. Our current governor thinks that leadership is all about dividing people into red teams and blue teams and no teams at all, green teams and other teams, and playing people off against each other. But we will never move our state forward with that kind of leadership. It's about theater as opposed to management. We need more solutions. If we're going to prepare our citizens to compete for good jobs in the world economy, we have to do a better job in our public schools, cut our dropout rate, make college more accessible, and bring high-wage jobs, not these minimum wage jobs, to Texas.
Ms. Glass, same question.
Well, I've heard that Governor Perry keeps a 7-hour day, or maybe 7 hours a week, I forget, schedule, and I think that's good. If he were full-time, I don't know what shape the state would be in. And he's a pretty good shot, so I hear, if it's not shooting back. But getting back to where I really fault him is the number one duty that I see in these times is as Commander-in-Chief of our Texas military. Now that may seem like a throwback to times past, but times have come around, and we're at that place again where he needs to assert leadership as head of our Texas military, which includes the State Guard. And that's something that he could do today. He is under the total control of the governor, and that he should put the Guard down at the border and to assist in the enforcement of Texas state law and part of what is an invasion. So that's where he talks about it. He talks about the problems down on the border, and that's good. So I will give him that. He does talk about it and talk. And then he begs Washington to come down here and defend us. Well, that doesn't get the job done, and that does not fulfill his obligations as governor of Texas. I have, in this letter, I will tell you that I have outlined to him what I think he has done that is in dereliction of his duty, what may be the most important duty of a governor in present times.
Ms. Shafto?
Well, that's a really hard question to answer. I don't want to appear too negative, but I can't think of anything offhand. As a teacher, I'm certainly not pleased with what's happened with the Teachers Retirement Fund or the State Board of Education. I'm heard from many, many people around the state how wonderfully popular his Route 69 is. All in all, I can't think of a single thing. I'm sorry.